Hello. I thought about making a video about love today. The subject of love, which has been in the interest area of the people who are interested in spirituality. Generally, many people talk about love and its implications in our daily life, but I question whether in the world there is actually love, because many people talk about it. But when we look at the world as it is today, if all those people who were talking about love have really loved, I think we would have enough number of people which would really change the world. It would really make it much more different than it is now. Because after all, we are talking about a population of at least, I would say, 20% who are interested currently in the world in spirituality. You might call it the New Age spirituality, or the continuity of old religions which encouraged love. They said love one another and all those things. And people all throughout the history of mankind wanted to find this thing, understand that thing called love, so perhaps they could have a different life. And of course, there is a reason why people are looking for this thing. Because basically our lives are not fulfilled. We don't feel happy, really. If we really felt happy, fulfilled, peaceful, in ecstasy, why would we look for something? Anything, including God. We would only look for something, a God, love, or a spiritual search, only if we somehow don't feel fulfilled in life. Somehow we are not really happy with the things of the world. So, what is love? That is an important question I felt like asking today for myself. I want to find out, because I observe people all around the world, the man and the woman, the marriages, relationships. Of course, the love that I am questioning now includes all, but it must be something more than that. I am not talking about man and woman relationship love in particular, but that must be included as well in this kind of love that I am questioning, which you might call, I don't want to use the words like divine or somehow spiritual love, but there must be something beyond all those explanations or definitions of love in today's daily life, in human relationship, man-woman relationship. For me, somehow I don't see that kind of love good enough. And so, what is love? First of all, I observe the relationships of people, man and woman. They say they are in love and they get married, for instance. And then something happens, especially these days, all around the world. After a few months or a few years, something happens and that love disappears. And there is conflict in relationship in most of them. And if they have a child, then it is a much bigger problem. Because if you don't have a child, you can get divorced. It might be painful, but at the end of it, you can start a new life. But when you have a child, it could have some disastrous consequences, naturally. So, is that love which society is talking about? Men and women say, I love the other. Is it really love? I want to find out. Because I have this life, and unless I find something truth of love, I feel like everything is fake. So, what is love? Personally, when I ask that question, there is no answer to that question, because love, somehow, I feel, cannot be approached positively. I feel like a better approach would be negation of what love is not. In the process of negation, the very negation itself somehow is bringing the waves of love into my life. That's what I feel in my personal experience. Like, for instance, in my relationship, when I'm aware of jealousy, right? And I see that is not love. Jealousy is not love. How can jealousy and love go together? Or hatred, comparison of myself with another, with my friend or my girlfriend or whoever. How can I really love if I compare myself with the other? I think I can't. For me, it's very clear. Comparison implies I want to be better. And then the struggle between the me and her or him starts. And how can there be love in this thing? Cannot. So I observe. After observing all this, I see love cannot exist in relationship when there is any sense of selfishness. Selfishness of any kind. Even the very little shadow of selfishness. If I am concerned about myself in any subtle way in my relationship, then that implies I don't really love. I can talk about love. I can read all the books, the so-called New Age spiritual books, and I talk about love. But do I really love is another question. That's the whole point. That's why I started this talk saying, if all the people, not even all, if it's just a small fraction of all those people who are interested in spirituality have really loved, it would be a different world altogether, because they could really have great effects on society. And they could have the momentum, that force, to actually change this society. But I don't think most of those people who talk about love and spirituality and those kind of stuff really love. I'm not sure about it. I might be wrong. But this is what I observe. Because even those people within themselves, you see their own struggles, their own envy, jealousy, hatred, anger towards another. Right? It's obvious. They don't have peace either. It became like a kind of entertainment in the spiritual area. Other people entertain themselves in other things, television, football match, and those kind of stuff, and there is also spiritual entertainment. For me personally, it must be something serious, much deeper than entertainment of any kind. Spirituality must be something real, not a game to play. And so, we have to come back to the question of what love is not and selfishness. Selfishness is not love. Anything about selfishness is not love. So, if we see the fact that selfishness and love cannot go together, then we will observe ourselves in relationship, learn about ourselves. And in that process of observation, there will be somehow cleansing of oneself from the things that are not love. If in my relationship I see myself, my selfishness, in any subtle form, then I wipe that out immediately. That very act of wiping things out, wiping those things which are not love, that very act of wiping out is the action of love. I think it is quite simple. So, then what happens? Then, when one observes that way, understands, and wipes out the self, the ego, then in one's daily life, one can have relationships without the self, the ego, interfering. So when I do something or talk to somebody, then there is love without any expectations of any kind. And when there is no expectations, because you are not selfish anymore, there is no sense of selfishness, then that is unconditional love. Isn't it so? When there is any sense of selfishness involved, there is condition in that. Because I love you because you give me something. Doesn't matter what. It can be material things or psychological security. Doesn't matter. You give me something and I love you. That's business, trading, right? So, if there is any sense of this thing, you give me something and I love you, then it is not love. There must be a sense of love in which you really don't expect anything. That's very important. But there is a danger of misunderstanding. Many people, in order to have this unconditional love, they go out and give. They say they don't expect anything. They give. And at the end they get hurt because people exploit. Right? This is not unconditional love because you are still playing this game. Because you say, I'll have this unconditional love because Jesus said so or somebody else said so. Not that I found that out, but somebody else told it to me, and I do it. And because I didn't understand it myself, there is no intelligence there. It's just repetition. And when you repeat what you are told without knowing what is implied, sorry to say so, but your mind is stupefied. Then you get hurt because people will exploit this. Right? So that is not unconditional love. When there is unconditional love, there is intelligence with it. You don't go out and give to people stupid. Right? You see there is a killer. A terrible man. That doesn't mean you hate him, because when there is this quality of love, there is no hate. But there is no object either. It is not that I hate that person or I am angry at that person, but there is intelligence. You look, you see, this man is dangerous. You can tell. You know, you have feelings. When there is this quality of love, you sense things. You become very acute in your perception, very sensitive. So, it doesn't mean that one hates that person, but that doesn't mean that I love that person. It's a different thing. It's not me loving anybody. There is no object and subject. There is love. It's like a flower giving off its scent. It doesn't choose this or that. I'll include this one and exclude that one, but love comes out. Right? So, but when people misunderstand this thing, I say, I have this unconditional, I'll love everybody. It is not that. It's neither everybody nor one person. There is no object and the subject. Separation of that kind ends. So, that kind of unconditional love has no meaning. You'll be exploited. They'll use you. Meaningless. So, what is? You must find the truth of this. And it implies deep questioning. Deep questioning of what I am, what I actually am. So when I question, observe, see what I actually am, then when I see the actuality of myself as I am, there might be freedom from that thing which is called me, the self, the ego. And that freedom is love. There is no center anymore. Right? Center as the ego or the self. And the ending of that is freedom. Because that is time. Ego has its roots in the past. Without the memory, recorded memory, the ego cannot exist. So it has its roots in the past. That means I am rooted in it. I am imprisoned in the past. And as long as there is the me, I'm in prison. There is no freedom. And if there is no freedom, what are we talking about? What spirituality? What love we are talking about? This is the heart of spirituality. One might talk for 1,000 years about love and spirituality. But if there is no freedom from time, which is past, there is no love. Love is in this present moment, neither in the past nor in the future. It is now. And to have this quality of love, one must have this freedom, psychological freedom from the self, from the me. the ego. The ego, the self, and love cannot go together. So this is very important. So this is the heart of spirituality. Understanding the ways of the self, the ego, watch, observe, understand, wipe it out. And then love comes unconditionally, right? And together with it, there is freedom, of course. And then there is intelligence in this process of understanding yourself, an extreme sense of intelligence. So when that intelligence functions, nobody can exploit you. Nobody can hurt you. They'll all feel this sense of love. But they can't hurt you. After all, for you to be hurt, there must be an image about yourself, which is the me, the ego. If that is wiped out, what is there to be hurt? That is one thing. But apart from that, you're intelligent. You don't go out and say, I love everybody. You don't even talk about it. It's very difficult, to be honest. I'm talking about love now, but it's relevant because I have decided, after careful thinking, and because of conditions of life, to enter into this area. And therefore, I can talk. Right? But apart from that, in my daily life, I never talk about this thing. I never even open this subject. When you really love, you act. You love. You don't talk about it. Nobody even knows. In my personal life, very few people know that I'm interested in these subjects. Many, including my parents, for instance, they don't know I'm deeply interested in these spiritual or philosophical methods. There is no point to talk about these things. You just love. That's it. So, I thought this would be an interesting and important subject to talk about today. And so, what should we do? We should learn about ourselves. That's the only way. So don't, it's your life, you can do whatever you like, but what I suggest is don't play with this thing. There's no point to play, say I love, or I must have unconditional love, all those kind of stuff. You can never have it that way. Impossible. And you get hurt. For the reasons I have explained, you'll get hurt. Because then you go out and try to love everybody. It doesn't work that way. It must come. Not that you invite. Not that you say I must love. It must come. It's like there's a nice saying. It is truth that will set you free. Not your efforts to be free. So it must come. Not that you invite or you say I must have it. You can't possess it. It's free. That is freedom. You can't imprison that thing like we are trying to imprison everything. Love cannot be imprisoned. One can never say I have that thing. I hold that thing. It's like trying to hold the wind in your hands. You can't. The breeze. It comes. You open the window and the breeze will come. Only if you have a beautiful house. Otherwise, even the breeze won't come. You can't even open the window. You're such in darkness. All the curtains are closed. How can you open the window for the breeze to come in? First, clean the house, right? Then open, when you clean the house, begin to clean the house, you'll see the curtains slowly. They are firmly closed. Then okay, let me open the curtains also. Then light will begin to come in. Right? Then you'll open the window. And if everything is ready, the breeze will come. Whenever the breeze wants to come, it will come. Not that. Don't sit next to the window and wait for the breeze. It will never come. Open the window and forget about it. That's it. Never expect that. It's the most unexpected guest. You don't know when it will come. That's the beauty of it. You can't possess. You can't program. It's totally free. Program implies I do this and that and it will come. Do this and that, then it will come. Formula. Right? Program. Love is freedom from all programs. From all conditions. So this is the only way. How to prepare the house and open the window is observation, understanding yourself, understanding what love is not, asking questions, understanding fear. Fear is darkness. Not reacting to fear, trying to be courageous. That has no meaning. It's opposite of fear. And every opposite has its rules in the opposite. Freedom implies freedom from duality of the opposites, which is fear and being courageous. They are the same thing, two different sides of one coin. What is important is being free from the opposites. All these things. Very important. And so, this asking questions, learning, observing, in this very process you are cleaning the house. There is a sense of cleansing, purification, inward purification. Clean the house, open the window, and you see light will come in. Of course it is perhaps a little bit more difficult process than repetition of some mantras in order to be enlightened, which has no meaning. Like the wise man Krishnamurti has said, you can, by the way, he's really wise, this man, I really suggest him to everybody, Jiru Krishnamurti. He said, you can repeat the word Coca-Cola 100 times and you will have marvelous experiences. True. Mantra. You don't need to find some ancient mystical mantras. Any word you can 100 times. The brain becomes so mechanical, stupefied, and there will be certain experiences, but that is not enlightenment. That is not real peace. How can it? We are human beings, intelligent creatures, and to open a door, a window to that supreme intelligence of the universe, do you think repetition of certain words is the path? Can it be? It is not. I am sorry to say so, but it is not. It cannot be. If you look at man's history, it hasn't been the answer. Look at man now, all around the world. Even those repeating all those mantras, transcendental meditation, this, that, they are unhappy also. They suffer. That's the truth. Majority of mankind suffer. So the real question is, the real answer, the path, is understanding, observation. That's the only way. For me, this is how I see. I might be wrong. So you find out for yourself. We are talking as friends here. So this is my idea as a friend. And you have your ideas. And we discuss, we talk, question, with open mind. And in my personal experience, I feel that love, the kind that I explain, in which there is no selfishness, which you might say true, unconditional, the truth. I feel without that, life has very little meaning for me. What is the meaning really without that? Only the material world. The pleasures of the material world, the richness, entertainment. But what? I say I have another 30, 40 years to live. More. I project that distance and I see myself doing these things. Entertainment, you know, playing the games, relationship games, being successful, money and all that. So what? At the end of my life, doesn't one get bored of all these things, repeating these things? Perhaps at another stage, one higher level, becoming a little bit more rich and better car. And there is always the danger of losing those things with its terrible pain and suffering. But even if you are successful or get rich, so what? What is at the end? We will all die. Unless we find something really true beyond time and the material things of the world, I think life has very little meaning. This is what I think. And therefore, for me, a true sense of spiritual inward life has great importance. And love, of course, is at the heart of it. Like, this is another thing which many people now, in the name of spirituality, they do everything. Repetitions of the words, meditation, so-called meditation, yoga, rituals. There is also the paganism. There is rituals there, right? Other rituals in other religions, and but where is love? Love is not in the ritual, not in the church, not in the mosque, not in the temple. One might do the rituals, one might go to church, to the mosque, to the temple. But what relationship does do those activities have with love in one's heart? I can't see any relationship. On the contrary, they limit oneself. They make one repetitive, like a computer. Whereas love implies freedom from all program. Because love is timeless, freedom from time. So I might do all kinds of rituals, and there are some also sick rituals as well. So I might do all kinds of rituals, and you know, but when I look at a poor child, for instance, you feel the suffering like your own suffering. That doesn't mean I suffer, but you feel It's a terrible thing that poor child is poor because of the me, the ego. Therefore, I become more attentive to the activities of this thing called self. Other human beings suffer because of that. This is love, not the ritual, not the temple, not the church. None of them will give this quality of love. Love comes through perception, intelligence, observation, understanding. It's free. It is not imprisoned in church or the temple or the ritual. It cannot come through any certain program or plan. Say, do this. Doing this thing implies the ritual, the church, the meditation, the yoga, anything. And love will come out as a result. That is programmed, computed. Doing this and love will come. It doesn't go that way. It cannot go that way. There is no path in that sense. The only path, if you can call it as a path, is negation of what love is not. That's it. To understand what love is. Finished. No, nothing apart from that. No path. No mechanical rituals. Or anything you can do and have that love. This is one thing. If we agree that love must be at the heart of our spiritual life, then, and we see those things are not love, and also not talking about love is not love too, so one must get serious naturally. Sit down and say, I don't love. I don't know. Start with, I don't know. Can we die to all that we have learned about love? Personally, I know nothing. I really mean, I know nothing. No knowledge of spiritual kind. Nothing. It's perhaps difficult to believe. It's been almost 20 years I'm seriously interested in this thing to find out, and I know nothing. And there is great beauty in not knowing anything about spirituality. Then there is this quality of, through that not knowing, somehow comes wisdom. It's incredible. I don't know how to explain, but that's the way it is. Knowledge of spiritual kind, any knowledge, must be time bounded. In mechanical things of the world, it's okay. It's needed. Knowledge of driving a car, I need memory, which is the past recorded in my brain. So knowledge is time bound. It's okay. In mechanical things of the world, I need to function. That's perfectly okay. I need knowledge there. But in spiritual area, what knowledge do I need at all? It's only love and the wisdom of love, the intelligence of it. And love cannot come through knowledge of any kind. You can't learn to love. It has no meaning to say I will learn to love. In many cases, when the mother has a child, a new baby, one mother looks at the baby and there is love between the mother and the baby. You can't teach them. You can't read it from the books and learn. Cannot. Or in a remote part of the world, In a little village, for instance, you see the mother taking care of her child. You see the light of love in her eyes, right? When you go to the cities, all the people talking about spirituality, doing all kinds of things, reading the books, talking about love and all those kind of stuff. They know so much, whereas the poor woman in the village know nothing about it. No knowledge of that kind, but she loves. Whereas the other, in the city, the intellectual, spiritual, all those kind of stuff, the walking library of the spiritual kind, they know so much, but one thing is missing, and that is love. Because of that knowledge of the spiritual kind, they don't love. It's such a great danger. It's so simple. See, love cannot come through any knowledge. It comes into your heart, not into your mind. Knowledge is the mind thing, not love. So, the first thing is die die to all your knowledge of spiritual and know nothing. Start from there. That's the first step. And that first step is the last step. The wisdom of not knowing anything in the spiritual world. If you look at it carefully, it is so logical. It is logical because you must have felt this thing of love sometimes. You really love something, somebody, animals, right? You really love. There is knowledge in that. It comes all of a sudden like an arrow, hitting your heart. There is no knowledge in there. It comes. On the contrary, knowledge of spiritual kind, any kind of knowledge in that area will block that thing, that love coming into it. So, I suggest know nothing in the spiritual area. Just be aware, observe, understand. Wipe out what love is not. That's it. There is knowledge in that process. It's action all the time. Acting. Wiping out what love is not. See jealousy. Don't judge. Don't say I must not be jealous. Because that's in time, that's in future. I am jealous and I must not be in the future. But the action of wiping out is immediate. You see jealousy, if you can, wipe it out. Otherwise, be aware, observe. That very observation is wiping out. Right? Okay, I think this is enough for today. It's been 43 minutes. It's a nice day outside. Not very nice, to be honest. It's cold, but there's a little bit of sun. And I'll do my daily hiking, daily ritual. You see, I have a different kind of ritual. Also, swimming is my daily ritual. Another ritual. Okay, I just wanted to talk about this subject today, and probably I will make a few more videos about some other subjects, like vegetarianism, for instance, is interesting. People are asking me about that. So, see you next time. Bye.